Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, Beth?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Hey, Charlie.
Is it cool if I jump right in?
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Um, so yeah, Riverdale, powerhouse of a show. What was your experience like joining such a big show, but also a show with an already established cast?
Yeah, it was pretty intimidating. I mean, the blessing in it is that it's such a well-oiled machine, so everyone's great at what they do. So you show up on set, and I was able to trust that. Um, but yeah, at the same time, it is a show that fans across the world know and love, and so gearing myself up mentally for that was definitely a process. But everyone on set is so kind and generous. So any kind of insecurity I had was purely coming from me because everyone else made me feel so comfortable. And luckily, I've gotten to stick around for a bit, so I've gotten more and more comfortable as opposed to coming in for one episode and being like, "What?" So yeah,
Nice, nice. Um, and coming into this season, obviously, like none of us knew what to expect from the fan side of things because I mean, it's Riverdale, anything can happen.
right,
Um, it's really weird seeing Julian instead of Jason.
yeah.
So, does the show explore that, give some sort of explanation?
I am unaware. I would probably be the last to know, but I think we'll get something somewhere along the line. But no, as far as I know, this is just an alternate universe version of all of these characters, but the Blossom family, and it's imagining what would have happened if it was Julian who existed instead of Jason. And I think luckily it really gives Cheryl a lot of room to play because it is such a different dynamic from her and Jason. Um, and it is kind of a very classic sibling rivalry. Um, so yeah, that's all I have on that front.
All good. With Riverdale, it's kind of one of those things where you just have to accept it, and it just, I mean, it works. So,
Totally.
um, but in regards to Julian, up until this point, we just know him as the possessed doll that Cheryl just keeps. Um, did you need to, I guess, do research on that when preparing to play him?
Luckily, I did not have to do much research because we are kind of hitting the restart button for this season, and so I didn't have to, pour through, every single episode of this character to see where the relationships lined up. So that was a blessing. Yeah, and the rest you kind of figure out as you go.
Nice. Um, in 3 words, how would you describe Julian?
Oh my goodness. Confrontational, shameless, and see, I don't want to make them all like horrible. What did I say? Confrontational, shameless. Uh, can I say like a phrase from my last one?
Yeah,
Product of his generation. Like I think he is quite the antagonist and can be an asshole. But I also think like there were a lot of these dudes back then. There still are, but how they're taught and how they're raised in society, and he's not really taught right and wrong, especially not from his family. So
that's true. That's true. Um, what is it like playing the bad guy?
Oh, it's so much fun. I think the challenge is that I tend to be more of a introverted person in real life, so I don't like to make waves or get in people's faces. So taking up space in that way is a challenge to own the fact that he can, stand in front of these guys and, tell it like it is and tell them off. But it's also so much fun because I get to slip inside a, a character, which coming from theater, you do all the time, but on TV, not necessarily. You're often playing a version of yourself. And certainly I align with Julian in some ways. I have to find some similarities so I can play him as authentically as possible. but it's more just really fun. I get to hurl a lot of insults at KJ Appa. Um, I get to be of a character that was so far from what I was like in high school. So it's really fun.
Nice. Nice. Can you elaborate on some of those similarities?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we all have people in our past that we'd like to say a few words to. So I think if I show up on set at least with some of that going, some personalization, then I can find my way in. Um, I work with a coach, the amazing Jess Cummings, on a lot of the work for Riverdale, and she helped me on the audition too. And we kind of together realized that Julian just always thinks he's right. It's not, no one playing a villain is gonna think I'm an asshole. They genuinely think that everything they say is correct. And so that's kind of a good way in for me, to justify, some of his behavior, which is hard to do.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, what I thought was really interesting was in seeing you and Madeleine interact with each other, but also like separately with other cast members. You both have a very similar like bitchy snark, which I'm like, okay, they're siblings. That makes sense. Um, did you two have to do a lot of like behind the scenes work to create that sibling dynamic?
No, but I really agree with you. I was watching some of it and I was like, we do kind of have some strange, similar, like, cadence sometimes, which probably I've picked up from her because she's the queen and she's been there for 7 years. But no, I walked on set my first day meeting her. We hugged and she said, "Hello, brother," and I said, "Hello, sister." And then we had a shot of us just walking down the hall. It's in episode one of just they're introducing all the characters, and I was, of course, very nervous, but I had to act like this is my sister, and I've known her all my life. But now we're pals. We're old chums.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, I have a few questions about like going back into the 1950s. First of all, like what was it like jumping into that era?
Um, just for me, honestly, it was watching wardrobe and set deck and all of these amazing artists making it so real and making it feel like we're really in the 50s. The wardrobe, I send selfies to my family all the time from my trailer. I'm like, wow, look at this jacket. I wonder if I could keep this. And of course, the vintage red convertible that I've had to drive, which I was terrified of doing because I'm not the greatest driver. I'm a New Yorker. We don't drive there, and so that was so intimidating. But when else is this ever going to happen in my life or career? So I try to like soak it up and think I don't think I'll ever be like a teenager in the 50s with in all red, like these are kind of once in a lifetime situations. So just trying to soak it up.
I love it. I love it. Um, is there anything from Julian's wardrobe that you kind of want to steal for your own?
I mean, again, I would probably have to say those jackets. Or I get to wear these awesome red Converse shoes, and everyone else has black Converse, and I have red. And so people on set often are like, "Oh, there he is with his red." It's kind of like the Julian staple. So maybe those. I don't know if they'll let me, but I can try. Can plead.
Oh, it's interesting that you mentioned the red Converse, because in previous seasons, Cheryl has been very much red is my color. You're not allowed to wear it.
Hey,
Is she willing to share the color red with you, or are you gonna have to find?
Jafar. But also, Penelope and, Thornhill is pretty decked out in red and velvet, and we're all, I truly my favorite color is blue, but after this job, I'm like, is it red? It might be red. Like
A good color.
bold. Yeah.
So it must just be the blossom color.
It's the blossom way. Yes, it's the blossom color.
Um, so what are we in for with the rest of the season?
What can I say? I mean, I've said this, like, the season really explores these core relationships, and as you said, growing up in the 50s, it's a whole other thing. There's socio-political issues going on, and I think the writers are simultaneously having a lot of fun in that era, and with the diction and how people talked back then, but also like the climate, like the political climate at the time, and homophobia and racism, and so I think it's really interesting, and it's a departure from previous seasons in that way, but still retains that nostalgic feel from season one. So you're gonna get more, of course, drama between between the individuals at the high school, but definitely in for some surprises along the way, and characters who've been on the show in previous seasons, and so fans will be like, "Oh, that's so and so," but now they're named this and they're wearing that, So there's going to be a lot of that too.
Awesome. Is there anything you can tease about Julian's arc?
I mean, it kind of. Where are we now? We're episode four, so episode five comes. It's kind of. I don't want to say downhill from here, but I will say that Julian goes through it, and for those who enjoyed him getting punched in the last episode, he definitely gets himself into more hot water, and there might be more slaps and punches. I don't know. He pays for what he does. So, I, as the actor playing him, feel bad for him, but the rest of the viewers don't need to feel bad for him. That's okay.
Um, with you having a Broadway background, is there hope to hear Julian sing?
There is hope. There is hope. Strong hope.
Um, if you had your way, is there like a specific 50s song that Julian would sing?
That Julian would sing. Oh my God. It would probably be a sweeping Frank Sinatra, like My Way. He would want the most like confident, you know, sweeping solo imaginable.
I can see it. That kind of fits the blossom.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Um, so where are you at with filming? Have you wrapped the season? Do you still have more to go?
We have not wrapped. I still luckily have more to go. They're keeping me. So yeah, we're in the middle of. I just filmed in Pops for the first time the other day, which I had never done. And I talked to Alvin, who plays Pop, and he was like, "Oh, I pretty much always film here, and I'm never in the main stage." So that was fun, and yeah, I'm so humbled and pleased that they've kept me for so many episodes. So yeah, just trying to soak it in, and have as much fun, when the cameras aren't rolling as when they are. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, if we want to kind of stay up to date with you, your work, other projects that you're working on, where can we find you?
I would say Instagram is the best way, at Nick_Barasch. I left Twitter. That was one of my 2023 New Year's resolutions, and I think it was a good decision for me personally. Um, and yeah, that I would say that's the best way.
Great, great. Um,
Yeah.
before I let you go, is there anything about Julian or Riverdale that we didn't touch on that you'd like to add?
Hmm. Um, I don't think so. I mean, I would just say I'm very grateful for the people who are still watching, and the response so far has been pretty awesome. So, no, it's all exciting. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for chatting. I'm loving the season so far. And I
Yay.
see what comes next.
Thanks so much, Beth. Yeah.
You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.